The Denver Broncos were one of the stories of the 2024 NFL season as they broke the playoff drought that they had been in since Peyton Manning had retired. It looks like they've got their franchise quarterback, they've got a defense that's super young, super exciting moving forward, and they've got a really good head coach in Sean Payton. This is also a team that I've really liked how they've attacked free agency. They bring in Talanoa Hufanga, they bring in Dre Greenlaw, and they go out and bring in Evan Ingram. So this is a team that has made three really solid moves, and how does that affect the Denver Broncos draft strategy? That's what we are going to be doing in today's 7-round Denver Broncos mock draft. But if you guys are new to the channel, I'm doing mock drafts for all 32 NFL teams until we get to the Philadelphia Eagles at number 32. This is a series that I've had a ton of fun with, and we are currently sitting at number 20 in the series. Leave a like on this video. Also, check out the Patreon page. I'll leave that linked down in the description. It's just $5 a month, but you guys will get full access to my draft guide, big board, with all of my scouting reports, all of the player combine information, stats, and all the stuff that you guys need to know for this draft cycle. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and let's go ahead and kick this off with the Denver Broncos. So we're on the board here at number 20 overall, and I know it says Tyler Warren and Shamar Stewart are on the board. They are not on the board for this exercise. I've taken them in previous mock drafts, and it is highly unrealistic that they are on the board at number 20. The other thing, though, Colston Loveland did get taken earlier in the draft. I think after getting Evan Ingram that a lot of people are going to stop mocking Colston Loveland here. I still think it's a very realistic possibility. Evan Ingram, not much of a blocker. Loveland, I think, gives you a little bit more upside there. I think he can play a little bit more in line. So maybe Denver will want to go out and grab another tight end. I think it's very possible. I also think receiver is very much in play here. And I think ultimately that is where I want to go for this draft. You've got Matthew Golden, you've got Emeka Egbuka, you've got Luther Burden. All three of them phenomenal wide receivers in their own right. And it's kind of a pick your poison because I think all three of these guys are very different and bring a very unique skill set to the table. When we start with Luther Burden, who is my number 3 wide receiver in the class, he's 6 foot, 206 pounds, kind of that Deebo Samuel archetype. You can get him the ball out of the backfield, but he's also a really impressive deep ball winner. He has had a very impressive contested catch rate over the past couple of seasons at 54.5%. This is a guy that I think can be a true number 1. He's got the speed to take the top off the defense. He's a good route runner. And I know his production was a little down in 2024, but the quarterback play for Missouri was significantly worse. I still think he is the number 3 receiver in this class. I think he'd fit right in with Denver. Then you've got Emeka Egbuka, who is my number 4 wide receiver. He is 6 foot, 202 pounds, but a really solid all-around player. He's not going to do anything super sexy. He's not going to be this big play machine, but he is a reliable weapon. I've said this on numerous occasions. I think it's very hard to envision a world where Emeka Egbuka is not at least a decent NFL player because of his ability to get open, his football IQ to understand zone coverage. He is an unbelievable blocker for the position as well. And then you got Matthew Golden, who is kind of the wild card of this group. Really fast player, ran a 4.29 at the combine. He is a little bit smaller, 5'11", 191. Might be some questions on if he's just a slot guy at the next level, but a guy that really upped his game as the season went on. He is a really sharp route runner, can stop and go on a dime, has deep ball separation abilities. Another guy that knows how to high point the football, make tough grabs. I don't really think you can go wrong with any of these guys, but when I look at the Broncos receiving room, you've got Marvin Mims, who I feel like is that big play, speedy threat down the field. You've got Cortland Sutton, more of that prototypical possession receiver. I like Luther Burden as the 3rd guy in this offense. He reminds me a ton of DJ Moore and the way that he gets open, the way he can be utilized, so dynamic after the catch. I think Burden is the perfect wide receiver for this team. And if they aren't going to go tight end, I think receiver's very much in play if Burden's still on the board. I considered interior defensive line as well, which we will address in this draft. Running back, I think it's a good enough class. We can take a guy at 51, at 85, but I'm going to go Luther Burden here for the Denver Broncos at number 20. Here on the clock at number 51, and this is a really difficult spot to be in because there's so many different players that I think would be really good fits for this Broncos team. Obviously, running back is a massive need, And there are so many good ones on the board. Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Judkins, Dylan Sampson. Cam Scadaboo, I think, is a really great fit for Denver. I think he's kind of the best of both worlds of the running backs they have, and he's a great receiving back. I don't think it's out of the realm of the possibility that he is a legitimate spot here at number 51. But I also look on the interior of the defensive line, particularly that 3-4 defensive end spot. You've got Malcolm Roach, you got John Franklin Myers. Are those guys long-term options for this team? You've got 1 year left on John Franklin Myers' contract. He'll be a free agent next year, so I don't think it hurts to try and address that early on. The tight ends on the board, I want to go get more of a blocking type, and I don't really feel like any of these guys have that. There's a player I have in mind down the board, so I think right now I'm probably going to go with a running back, and it's a pick your poison. Again, they're in a great spot to take one of these guys because Judkins, I think, is the best running back on the board in this situation. He's a power back that I think can run between the tackles, but he's got phenomenal speed when he gets outside. You've got Dylan Sampson, who I think is that outside zone type of runner. Probably not an amazing scheme fit for Sean Payton. Travion Henderson can block, great receiving back. And then you got Cam Scadaboo, who I think is the wild card of this group. Yes, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he runs the football so hard every time he touches it. The speed is a concern, but I'm going to go with Quinshawn Judkins here. Judkins, to me, the gap between Quinshawn Judkins and Amarian Hampton is not as far-fetched as some people would lead you to believe. I think Judkins is a very good running back prospect, and he was my number 1 running back coming into the year. He's 5'11", 221 pounds, the exact same measurements as Omarion Hampton, and he ran a 4.48 with a 1.51 10-yard split. This is a guy that has gone over 1,000 yards all 3 seasons of his collegiate career, and there's so much to love about him. His contact balance is phenomenal. Super shifty at the line of scrimmage, has a great jump cut, has the ability to make guys miss in the open field. He shows upside as a receiving back, really improved as a blocker this past season for Ohio State. And that was really the area I wanted to see him get better at, was the blocking. Can he be a consistent outside runner? We'll have to see, but I think Sean Payton's going to absolutely love his ability to run inside, run outside. He's got speed, he's got athleticism. I think he could be a good receiving threat for you as well. I love Quinshawn Judkins as a prospect, and he'll be my pick here at number 51. Here at number 85, we got a couple of trade offers. The Chiefs wanted to trade 95 and 133 to get up to this spot. But I really like the way the board fell, and I'm not going to be trading back in this situation because I really like Jordan Burch as a fit for this Broncos defense. He's got the Oregon ties, which this team likes to draft Oregon players over the last couple of seasons, but what I like about him is his inside-outside versatility. He's 6'6", he's 6'4", 279 pounds. This is not your prototypical edge rusher. This is your 3-4 defensive end. We mentioned John Franklin Myers' contract is up after this year, but they've got a lot of holes on the interior. Malcolm Roach is out after this year. Zach Allen's contract is up after this year. Nick Benito's contract is up after this year. They're going to need to replenish some of the talent on the defensive line, and I think Jordan Burch is a great start there. We mentioned his size, 6'4", 279, had a 4.6, 740 with a 1.66 split, which is a fantastic time for his size. This is a guy that is a super reliable tackler and a fantastic run defender. 4% missed tackle rate in 2024. He knows how to wrap up consistently, had 10 sacks this past season, which was a career high. He's starting to really figure it out as a pass rusher. The athleticism is certainly there, but if he can figure out how to be more consistent at winning with his hands, winning with swipes, he could be a very good player long-term for the Denver Broncos. I like him a lot as that 3-4 defensive end. I think he's a perfect scheme fit for Vance Joseph's defense. He's got athleticism to play on the edge, can play outside, play stand-up. He's a really, really good player. Was my guy coming into the year. Like I said, I would like to see him improve as a consistent pass rusher, but he gives you a high floor as a run defender. You can probably sit him for the first year, let him learn the game, and you've got your John Franklin Myers replacement next year. This is a home run pick if he's on the board here at 85, so he's going to be my pick for the Broncos. Here at pick number 122, I wanted to trade back and try and get a spot from anywhere from 160 to 170 because there's a lot of guys I had my eye on. But I am going to go with a safety. Now, I know what a lot of Broncos fans are thinking. Why would you take a safety? We just signed Talanoa Hufanga. And it's a valid point, but Hufanga just hasn't been able to stay healthy over the last couple of seasons, and that does worry me slightly. I think adding some depth in the secondary is a crucial part of the Broncos draft, and I really like Jonas Sanker out of Virginia. He's been a my guy since the summer. I have a third-round grade on him. He's here at 122. He is the perfect box safety, but I think he can do a little bit more for you. He ran a 4.48. He's strong, 6 foot, 206 pounds. I thought he had good speed in the open field. He's physical in coverage, can match up in one-on-one opportunities. I think you can use him as a blitzer, play him in the box, bring him downhill. I really like that about his game. He does need to improve his play strength at getting off blocks at times and work on his eye discipline and coverage. But as a third safety, I think this would be a home run pickup for the Denver Broncos. He could be that strong safety if Brandon Jones goes out. I think he might, I don't know what his contract looks like off the top of my head, but he could be a long-term replacement there. And he can step in if Hufanga or Jones gets hurt, because I don't know if you want P.J. Locke getting those minutes back. I know you got J.L. Skinner a few years ago. He hasn't really panned out. I'm not letting the Hufanga draft pick steer me away here. I am still going to take a safety. I'm a big fan of Jonas Sanker. Don't think we've taken him yet in the series, and I think he's worth the investment here at 122. Once again, I got a pretty high grade on him. I've got him graded at 119 on my board, so right around this range. He's going to be my pick for the Broncos at 122. Here on the clock at 191, I think we are in a very favorable spot at the tight end position. Jackson Halls is my dream target for the Denver Broncos. He ended up getting taken before Jonas Sanker. I would have taken him at 122. He's off the board, so we had to pivot, but I like the way the board fell for us. We got Jake Brenningstool, Mitchell Evans, and Jalen Conyers all on the board. Now, full transparency, I don't think Mitchell Evans makes it this far, so I want to go a little bit of a different route here. Brenningstool, to me, is a receiving tight end. He fits what Evan Ingram does. So I like Jalen Conyers as a fit. Really great size for the position, 6'3", 263 pounds. He's got really reliable hands. This is a guy that doesn't drop the football very often. Had 2 drops this past season, 60% contested catch rate. He's a guy that took 35% of his snaps in line with 55% of his snaps in the slot. So you can use him as a receiving tight end. He does bring good opportunities after the catch, has good contact balance, plays like a wrecking ball. He's got that type of mentality you like, doesn't miss a lot of catches. Was a transfer from Arizona State to Texas Tech this past season where he put up good numbers for the Red Raiders. I think ultimately your biggest concern are going to be his athleticism. He ran a 4.74 with a 1.62 split. Didn't love that. His blocking can be a little bit up and down. I don't think he's a bad blocker, but I wouldn't say he is this elite blocking tight end. But at 191, as a tight end 2, as a maybe tight end 3, what he brings in terms of his size, his ability to play in multiple different alignments, I think he's got solid hands at the catch point. I think he's an upgrade over what you've got currently. I like Adam Troutman fine. I think Conyers would be a little bit of an upgrade there. So I'm going to go with Jalen Conyers, another guy that I'm not sure we've taken in this series yet, but I think he's a really good fit, and I think Sean Payton's going to absolutely love him. We're going to take him at 191. Here at number 197, I want to go get some cornerback depth. I think there is some... A long term, you could look to add some extra pieces in this secondary. I like Chris Abrams' drain. I liked what Riley Moss brought you. I think you could add some more bodies in the secondary. It's such a volatile position. There's some guys that I really like on the board here. I like Kendall Bowler a lot from Florida A&M. I think he's a guy that will ultimately get drafted. At his pro day, he ran a 4.53 though. That does concern me because you got to be fast to be a corner, but he's 6 foot, 193. I think he's got overall good size, long arms for the position, fluid hips. This is a guy that gets right up into the defenders or to the wide receiver's grill. The speed, not amazing. He's not the most physical or hard-hitting corner in the world, but I like what he brings to the table, and I also like what Carlin Viggers from Louisiana Monroe brings to the table. Another guy that I really like, great size for the position, listed at 6'2", 200 pounds, great change of direction, solid mover in space, great eyes and zone coverage. He doesn't have a ton of production, hasn't had the greatest ball skills in the world, maybe not super quick, and his tackling's not great. But I think I am going to go with Carlin Viggers here at 197. He's a guy that I really like as a potential day 3 option at the cornerback position. He's got good measurables. I think he shows good instincts in coverage. I think he'd be a really solid player. So I'm going to take him here at 197. And our final pick here at number 208, I think getting some long-term help on the offensive line is going to be imperative. They've got multiple free agents coming up on the interior next year. Ben Powers is getting up there in age. I think they might have an out in his contract next season as well. I think you could look to upgrade on the interior. There are a lot of different ways you could go. Jonah Monheim, Tyler Cooper is an interesting option here as well. I'm not the biggest fan of Tyler Cooper, but he's got really good size, 6'5", 305, good athlete who's light on his feet, but consistently injured. I don't think he's got great anchor. We're going to go with the wild card here. A player that I, again, haven't taken in this series. That's going to be Jacob Bayer from Arkansas State. This is a guy who got injured at the back end of the 2023 season. I actually think he got injured in the spring, tore his ACL, came back, played every single game for the Red Wolves, I believe. He's a really solid center prospect, really decent hands, does some good hand fighting in the trenches, wins the leverage battles, plays low to the ground, has good strong technique, finishing mentality in the run game. He's got an interesting build, shorter arms, shorter size. I don't think he's an elite athlete, and I definitely would like to see his anchor improve. But in the 7th round, throw a dart on one of these interior guys that I think can develop. Now, Thomas Perry is an interesting one as well, coming from Middlebury College. Got to look into his tape a little bit more. I don't think Monheim is going to be on the board. Don't think Majors will be on the board. So Jacob Bayer is the next top guy on the board for me, and I'm going to take him here at 208, get some help on the interior, and that's going to round out this Broncos mock draft. So there we have it, Broncos fans, my 7th-round Denver Broncos mock draft. Added some weapons for the offensive side of the ball, but really improved in the trenches, getting a guy like Jordan Burch, adding some secondary help, and I really like the dart throw of Jacob Bayer. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think down in the comment section? Do you like it? Do you not? Would love to hear from you. Leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.